లైవ్ వచ్చాము.
యూట్యూబ్ పాలసీ మొబైల్ ఓరియంటేషన్ మొబైల్ ఓరియంటేషన్
దాంట్లో లైవ్
నీకుంది అదే నాకు లైవ్ అనేది let it run like this. A video capturing it. ఒకసారి
పెట్టేసి
అది షార్ట్
రెండు మూడు యూనిట్స్ ఉందంటే ఆపేయండి. అదే దట్స్ వాట్ లాగ్ ఆఫ్ అయిపోతే నేను చేస్తే 10 minutes స్టార్ట్. సో మొబైల్స్లో అన్నీ ఆపేసేయండి. అప్పుడు లాగిన్ చేయకపోతే ఎక్కువ రాదు.
ఫైనల్ గా దీని మీద కనెక్ట్ చేస్తారు కదా, రెండు మీరు పీపీటీ కనెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటారు. పీపీటీ ఉంది,
ప్రెజెంటేషన్ పెట్టేసి ఫస్ట్ ఇంట్రొడక్షన్ అయిపోయి ప్రెజెంటేషన్ ఆన్ చేయండి.
ఇదండి పీపీటీ.
ఇది స్పీకర్
ఈ స్పీకర్స్ ఆపేయాలి.
అయిపోయింది
ఎక్కువ లైక్ సార్ కుమార్ లాగ్ ఉందా?
చిన్న
లాగ్ ఉంటుంది సార్. అంటే మనకి అదే వాళ్ళకి చూసే వాళ్ళకి ప్రాబ్లం లేదు సార్. ఒకసారి నేను మాట్లాడితే టెస్ట్ ఇచ్చేసి
నీ దగ్గరికి వస్తాను.
లేటెన్సీ ఉంది,
చిన్న లేటెన్సీ ఉంది.
లైవ్ స్ట్రీమ్
అంటే లైవ్ లో చూసిన వాళ్ళకైతే ఈ లైవ్ ఇక్కడ మనకు
విల్ స్టార్ట్.
ఒకసారి టెస్ట్ బయట
సురేష్ గారు విల్ గో.
think he has to pick a call. Suresh garu
banking some call. We can start in there. Okay.
ఈ వెనకాల రిఫ్లెక్షన్ మనం తీసేద్దాం. గుడ్ రైట్.
ఓకే.
మీరు లాగిన్ చేశారా? అది మీరు బయట నుంచి లాగిన్ చేశారా?
ఓకే.
పర్ఫెక్ట్.
మామూలుగా వాయిస్ టెస్ట్.
ఈజ్ ఇట్ ఆడిబుల్? హలో, ఈజ్ ఇట్ ఆడిబుల్? హలో, వినిపిస్తుందా? ఇట్స్ ఓకే, రైట్. ఓకే, ఇది ఇక్కడ ఏంటిది? ఇది ఒకసారి ఇది
ఓకే తీసేసి.
Okay. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining us on live as well as physically here at VHub. We are really delighted to start this program on AI, GenAI and its perspective by Dr. Kumar. Briefly, I'll introduce Dr. Kumar. Dr. Kumar is Andhra University alumni, gold medalist in electronics and communication engineering, and we both are classmates at that point of time. And after that, he went to IIT Kanpur in computer science. And from there, he went to United States and then done his PhD in computer science. He is having a lot of patents in AI and in other areas, including in physics. And he is right now the executive director and also a distinguished engineer in Morgan Stanley worldwide in United States in New York. So we are really happy that we have, this is the first program we are doing it today after inauguration yesterday on Dasmi. On second, we have done this, and he is the first speaker today in VHub for the benefit of Vizag and to the students and professionals in Vizag region, and also the people who are outside the people who are connected live. So he is going to talk about the importance of Gen AI. It's not simply about the AI; it is a Gen AI. And also he's doing a lot of work with the backend open software, especially on the ONDC front. So most of the time he shuttles to Bangalore. So this is his brief introduction. Now the floor is open to the Mr. Kumar for taking forward. Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here. So I'll start with my PowerPoint. Okay, am I audible? Fantastic.
Yeah.
దీంట్లో స్ట్రీమ్స్ వీడియో టీవీ So you can open your excellent.
Slides.
Yeah. Excellent. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening to anybody watching in live. I'm honored and deeply respectful to this organization and to the audience for inviting me to be here. And thanks to my classmate and good friend Shankar Rao for introducing me and all the operational taking care of it. So let's start with AI. What I wanted to go over is how does it work? Because everybody knows that AI is going to help in many things, in many ways. So I'm going to be focusing mostly on the inner workings and explain how it works and why it actually is cutting across multiple verticals. Because many of us know that it cuts across multiple verticals, but why? And what can it go wrong, and how can we protect ourselves against it? I think those are some of the items that I'll be covering. Let's go through this. So I'll first start with some of the obvious ones. See, we all know that software development lifecycle is impacted with AI. We are actually seeing benefits, and I'll go through some of the examples that my own work in my company has publicly shared. And this includes modernization and legacy software, solving mathematical problems. This is well known. In fact, most recently, like last couple of months ago, some
Screen.
how do I do that? Share.
Screen share.
Yeah.
Sharing లో only screen ఉంది.
Slideshow.
So what do I need to do?
Slideshow పెట్టి
ఇక్కడ స్లైడ్స్ పెడితే స్క్రీన్ మనకి వెళ్ళిపోతుంది.
అంటే
స్క్రీన్ షేర్ డైరెక్ట్ గా చేసి
అంతే సో ఇలాగా ఉంచాలా?
అలా ఉంచండి.
అలా వచ్చాయండి. స్లైడ్షో పెట్టండి.
Slideshow పెడితే is going to
స్లైడ్షో రావట్లేదు.
స్క్రీన్ కి అది వెళ్ళిపోతాం.
స్క్రీన్ షేరింగ్
మీరు చెప్పండి ఏం చెప్పండి.
మైక్రోసాఫ్ట్ ఓపెన్.
ఆల్రెడీ కరెక్ట్ అయిపోయింది. ఇది స్లైడ్ షో పెడితే జస్ట్ స్లైడ్ షో
ఈ కింద ఉంటుంది కదా, అది ఐకాన్ ఇది పైకి పెట్టండి. అది కొంచెం పైకి షిఫ్ట్ చేయండి. అది షేర్ స్క్రీన్ ఎనేబుల్ అవ్వదా?
షేర్ సీన్ అయింది.
షేర్ స్క్రీన్ మీరంతా షేర్ స్క్రీన్ గో అహెడ్.
షేర్ చేసి ఇలాగే కంటిన్యూ.
ఓకే.
ప్యానల్స్ సైడ్ ప్యానల్స్ చేసేది.
Go ahead. I think slideshow రావట్లేదు.
Okay, no problem. This is okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I will do is I'll talk about exactly why and how AI helps in multiple verticals. I think that's the fundamental thing. And we will talk about the software lifecycle and modernization of old existing softwares. And we also know that it actually helps. AI helps in some basic things like International Math Olympiad, which is actually very surprising, because even those problems that we consider as international math, that it is solving. So GenAI is really scarily successful, and it is also helping in scientific discovery. So I think this is a big event started in 2022, 2023, and now we are seeing major developments as we see in the last couple of years. So the goal is to understand why. In one sentence, what AI has done is it has actually conquered human language. I think that's probably the main reason why we're able to see this success. So let's go to the next one. But before I go into the structural talks, I also want to talk about the uh, other important thing. In spite of all its success, AI also has some challenges. In particular, it creates hallucinations, it creates incorrect answers, and there will be some situations where the answers are not trustworthy. So the question is why? So why is it so successful and why is it sometimes failing? I think that's the critical part that I want to address. So let's talk about the structure. This is what I'm planning to go about. So I'm going to present some of the critical contributions that what I have done, my team has done as an example. It's not about our work, it's more about how AI works. So that is the purpose of this presentation. And then we go into some of the challenges, some of the cautions, and also for some of the students, especially I kind of concern myself about that is how do we protect them from the potential challenges and problems associated with AI in giving incorrect answers. So some of those things we will talk about. So the most interesting part is starting with the math problems and proofs. What we have noticed in the last few years is AI can actually do solve math problems all by itself, which is incredibly scary actually, because previously unsolved problems in Math Olympiad, these are given to some of the best students in the world. It is solving actually. And on top of it, what is very interesting is some of the medical foundations have shown discovery of drugs and discovery of solutions using AI. Math has nothing to do with medical discovery, at least what we thought. On the other hand, it also helps you in terms of scientific discovery, legal report writing, and it also is disrupting account practices, financial reports. It helps banking and investment banking research, and it also can write creative poems. Those of you who want to write nice poems, it can actually help you do that. And obviously it writes fiction and essays. So this is this scope, somewhat bizarrely human. It is almost like as if we have a very highly talented human. How does it do it? That's one of the things that attracted my attention years ago, decades ago, and when I was doing my grad school. Now it has come back into really, really great extent. So in our current life, in my current life, I run a GenAI project in Morgan Stanley, and one of our projects got, these are all my colleagues, and we won banking in New York City. This is the right side picture, and we actually has established this. This information is covered in Wall Street Journal as well as in Business Insider. So we have been very successful in using Gen AI and proving productivity and savings of productivity. So this is no longer a speculation, no longer a thought process, but it's more of really available solution and available capacity. And this is one of the many patents that came out in public. As you can see, July 29th, this information is publicly available, and how we did all of this effort. So what I'll be talking about is how does GenAI do that? And what I'll also open for any Q&A is we can talk about that also. So let's go through that.
Only the background they're getting this.
I see. Should we maybe reconnect it and pause for a second if that helps?
He's kind of
It's a big screen.
ఏమండి? రావట్లేదా?
PPT రావట్లేదా?
Ah, I see, I see.
Sir, extend bridge to the extended. Extended. Identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes,
Yes, sir, it's fine.
Yeah.
Most of the process, yeah.
Then I. So should I start from the beginning, or how do you want to do? ఇది మొదటి నుంచి
Sir, earlier.
Yeah.
Good to go? Good to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
ఇది బెటరా? Better? Okay. So as I was saying, the work done before has been very successful, and we even have several patents. This is one of the many. The purpose of showing this is that this is not about our work. It is about that there is a success, and we are really seeing the value of it. So now let's see how it works in terms of why it actually contributes to the knowledge, and we are so what I would suggest is that any new science, whenever we want to understand new science, I want to understand it in three components. One is the ontology, how it works, what is the terminology, what is the nomenclature, and the second one is the logic behind, which is what often called in the world is epistemology, and what is our belief, what do we expect it to do. I think this is something that I always believed, that these are the three things that help me. So LLMs, GenAI, and generative AI and hallucinations, there's a lot of terms that you hear. I'll spend 2 minutes to explain what these are, and the nomenclature is important. So the critical part to understand is these large language models actually explain and connect human language itself. So any vertical domain will be impacted, and we'll go through some examples. And in the old times, there was two separate uh, thoughts in terms of AI. One is the machine learning, which is classical, which is based on logic and reasoning, and the other one is based on statistics. And what you see in Gen AI is mostly based on statistics. It's not necessarily based on reason, which is why sometimes you see mistakes. And we'll go through some examples. And how you train a particular large language model. Many people describe and discuss this, semi-supervised, supervised, etc. But essentially, the language model is established through the training. And what we see now in the next examples, we'll see some of the reasons why and how the outputs come, even if it is in a very different domain, very different uh, vertical, why is the answer correct in legal domain as well as in the scientific domain. I think that's something that we can see through the examples. And our belief is that GenAI captures human knowledge, which we do not have a proof for, but we believe that that is the case, as we'll see in the examples. And we will also see why there are errors sometimes and how we can protect ourselves from these errors. I think those are the fundamental things that we want to understand. So I'll start with the very first examples. Many people think that AI started sometime in 2000, but one of the first papers that I want to really bring people to attention is what happened in 1948. This is just about when, I would say, a year after the independence of India, that far away, like almost 80 years ago. There was a very famous paper by Shannon. Most of us who went through college are aware of this paper, but for a different reason. This paper is the one which introduced the concept of bit and how bits are measured in 1948. But what Shannon did in the same paper, which is often not paid attention to, is introducing stochastic reasoning and stochastic display of answers. In 48, using very primitive computers, he did very fascinating experiment, which is what I want to go through. The reason is it's very important to know that what we think is intelligence actually comes from statistics of analysis of language. That's what he actually established to us. In the first, what he did is a very interesting experiment. This is exact excerpts from his paper. What we're seeing here is if you print letters of alphabet of English language in random order, you get almost nothing particularly meaningful. But what he did next is let's print the letters in English according to the frequency of their occurrence. So E occurs in English very high frequency. So you can see E is coming every so often. If you print with that, the words look somewhat meaningful, but not quite there. Then he did is very interesting. He said, we'll print letters according to their adjacency frequency. So some letters come together more often than others. So if you use that frequency, these words look much more close to English than they randomly look like. Then he said, if what if three letters frequencies are put together, then they look even more close to. In fact, it almost looks suspiciously like English. Then he took. Remember, these computers were very poor. This is well before moon landing, so the computers were terribly poor. And he was doing this experiment in 1948, almost 80 years ago. Then he said, let's do the same experiment with words. So words that occur next to each other. That was his last experiment, and this experiment essentially shows sentences that are produced very similar to English. And that is the scary part. There's no intelligence, there's no human being. All he did is statistics and the sentences that come out very close to English. And that's where he left in 48. So that was the random English to chosen English. Now we want to produce English that's of our choice. What he produced was random English. That had to wait for almost 70 years. The first experiment, and by the way, I'll be using extensively from the studies done by a famous mathematician dropped out of Stanford. His actual name is Grant Sanderson, but his YouTube icon is three blue, one brown. It's actually a very fascinating guy. I'm using his work to illustrate some of the examples. So this is where the current goal of all the LLMs is to produce the next best word. So whereas Shannon showed how to produce random English with statistics, here now we want to use again statistics to produce the next best word. So think about all GenAI is doing is producing the next best word using statistics. And how they do is the most fascinating thing. They took the entire language, all English words, and converted them into vectors in 1,000 dimensions. And then they produce the relationships between them and uses this space to determine what's the next best word. That's why it doesn't matter whether you are looking at a vertical in science, mathematics, law, accounting. The entire English language has been decoded using this And so when we talk about writing prompts, we are actually writing programs against this underlying machine. And this machine knows all about English and all the relationships between words. So what happens is every word has a vector inside the uh, LLM underlying embedding space. So these are not 3D, these are not 4D, these are not 10D, these are 12,000 dimensions vector. So every relationship you can think of between words is available here. That's the most interesting part. And using this embedding space, they have actually created, we will now see how we can actually do the relationship between words. So let's take an example. This is a very fascinating example from the paper. And here is a two words, king and queen, and the relationship between them is a vertical line below, vertically downward direction. And the same kind of relationship exists between man and woman. Why I think this paper discusses this in length is because any relationship between different people, even if they are different titles, it captures the essence between different words and how the meaning between words and relationships exist in human language. Think about this even in terms of, let's say, we're talking about programming languages. After if, there is always a then. It captures that information. So when you want to translate, it can capture the information from the logical relationship between programming languages. So it's what is the interesting part here is all human communication happens in language, and the entire human language is converted into vector. That is the most important power of it. And let's go through one more round and see how it works. the, the millions of words that we come across are used to train this model. So what you see is by the time this training is done, 12,000 dimensions are developed, and the entire meaning of words is converted into these vectors. So these words, the word river may have multiple meanings. All of those meanings are captured inside into this vector space. So when people often mistake and think that you're writing prompt is actually an English program you are writing against this machine. This machine speaks in vectors, and their relationships is what is important. So this is critical for especially students to understand, because you're not writing in when prompts are not some simple random English. It is actually programming against this machine. You can really get some very interesting things out of it. So let's talk about some example. Then, in this particular case, what I was trying to see here is how the same meaningful words land on the same situation. So, for example, let's take these words: towers, gate, building, skyscraper, roof. They all have something in common, and that is they're all structures. They have height. They have certain concept of a differences in the height. They all have some common value in one direction, and even though each word is represented different vectors, all of these vectors have some common dimension. And that is the critical part that we want to show, that when you talk about relationships between words, you can actually see how these words connect with one another. So when you ask, is there something that is tall and like a building, it just goes into that space and searches there. So, and it finds tall and something like a building, well, probably a tower, that's what you're talking about, or a skyscraper. You think that it is actually thinking, it is actually not thinking. It is going into the statistical vector space and comes up with the answer. Similarly, if you ask, tell me how to solve a relationship, a linear equation, it doesn't know how to solve a linear equation, but linear equation, the moment it sees that, it comes into a set of words that tell all the solutions that are available in the internet, and then it further focuses and gives you the answer. So the important thing is to notice that it is not thinking, it is statistically correlating. And therefore, more often than not, you will get correct answer, because most correct answers have been digested by this system. So I think that is the most important part we should remember. And I do want to take a few more minutes to go through some examples. This is an interesting example from the paper. In He takes two different countries, Germany and Italy, and who is corresponding person to Italy as is it in the Germany, and he picks up Hitler as an example, and the system automatically deduces it is Mussolini. It doesn't know the history, but all the English language has been digested, and these vectors point in that direction. So you might think it is thinking, it is actually not. It is actually thinking using vectors. Same thing happens with respect to plurality. So if you look at the vector that corresponds to cat and the vector that corresponds to cats, the same relationship in the same direction exists between all other plurals, like in fact puppies and pup and a single dog, or if you look at any other plural. In fact, what I did is numbers themselves line up in the same dimension. So if you look 1, 2, 3, 10, 100, 2000, they all line up in the same dimension, which tell you that it understands in a very weird sense the dimension called plurality. So when you talk about multiples, it actually understands in that dimension. So the important thing is all LLMs have actually completely digested the English language, and they convert that into multiple dimensions, 12,000, 13,000 real number. Actually, this is what ChatGPT 3.5 or 4 has. So these dimensions are not random. The numbers that I picked are not random. They are real, practical, hands-on examples that I started to pick. So now we know how it picks the next best word, but the more important thing is what happens if you have very large inputs. This is where 2017, 2018, there is a very famous paper that came out. And that paper describes how you get fairly very large inputs you can give, and it's called Attention is All You Need. That's a paper. And that paper actually came out with these answers. So why I'm giving you this history, the reason is very important. All of these discoveries happened in less than 10 years or even 6, 7 years. So if you don't understand, don't feel bad actually. Most people don't. And if you don't understand why it works, that's also okay. Um, all of this knowledge, all of this information has been discovered in the last 7, 8 years. Um, in the human span, it is nothing. It's like a speck of the water. So it is important to understand and do experiments with programs. And the best language to do is Python. And we can talk about some examples after the presentation is done because we're already almost an hour. I just want to finish soon. But again, the important thing is all of the English language is in the vector space. So now that we kind of understand how it works and how this story is unfolding, I want to give you some questions about mistakes and errors. Because it is all statistical, I call it as a stochastic parrot. It can also make tons of mistakes, and especially students can have many challenging errors. The reasons why it makes mistakes is because for the same reasons it makes it correct. So think about it. Most commonly captured mistakes on the web are the most common answers it gives you. So if the web has a lot of misconceptions associated with a concept, anything that you can possibly think of, the same mistakes come to you, and you think it is a real truth. As I just told you, there is no real truth in the web. It is a correlation. Most commonly acceptable answer is what it gives you as the answer. In math and computer science and law and all those places, we get correct answers because luckily your ancestors have always corrected themselves and gave right answers in the web. But when it comes to history and opinions, there's nobody doing that. Most often, the historical and opinion answers or wrong answers get more value because they are often seen most often. So it gives you the wrong answer when it comes to history, when it comes to social sciences and other soft sciences because they are the most popular answers. Just because Stanford gives the answer doesn't mean it's always correct, but that is what it picks up. But Stanford always gives you right answer when it comes to math because mathematicians correct themselves. Historians always don't always do that. So be careful what you're getting at. And I have observed this many times. And right now, ChatGPT, especially this is important for students, gives you what is called agentic implementation. You don't have to write program to implement agents. You can actually, this is an example that I did, and I gave this as an example for all of you. You can actually tell ChatGPT to create two agents. You can say it in English and say that for every question you should create two agents, explore and interrogate, and the instructions that you can get, give me the answers. So you can create two agents, explorer and investigator. So the explorer explores the answers, the investigator cross checks and corrects it and gives you the real answer. So if you're a student, don't believe what you see on the web, don't believe what you see on the internet or the chat GPT. Create two agents, ask one agent to get the answer, another agent to do the investigation. And all of this can be done in English. You don't even need to write code. If you know how to write Python, you can do even better than that. I'm particularly concerned about the students because ChatGPT, in as much as it's fantastic, it also creates, it expands and amplifies truth. It also amplifies what is popular. Truth and popularity match in mathematics and computer science and hard sciences because we correct ourselves, but they do not match in the soft sciences. So sometimes falsehood goes farther than truth. So you need to be conscious about when to believe it. So you can create these agents on ChatGPT and help yourself. So in the new world, it is not just about how to explore AI, but how to verify AI. That is the most important skill you need to develop. With that, I close my talk.
It's it. Yes. Akal, sir. Mic Akal.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Really, it's great insights because people generally look at Gen AI without knowing much about it. But you're given the nuances that the correct answers comes from the statistics, not from the English, and the vectors which are there. Basically, I think the important thing, whether for the students or for the professionals, when they're using the artificial intelligence, especially the Gen AI, I think both the things have to be looked at. The explorer for getting the answer, investigation to cross check whether the data, the result what has come is correct. Then the solution what you're thinking will be right. If not, we'll be doing like garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
And we'll be doing a lot of wrong information to the public and to the society. I think this is where exactly, I think ethical way of doing AI and Gen AI is very important in the present world. Make use of it. Definitely, it improves the productivity, but it should be accurate and correct. So, with this, we are really thankful to all the people, especially my team members who made this. This is the first webinar we have done it. There may be some glitches and then hiccups, what we had it, and definitely we'll try to improve upon. Our vplhub.com is the website. We have all the social media handles. You can link and then you can put your comments and also suggestions so that we can improve upon. This is an integrated infrastructure in 21,000 square feet. We have developed it, opened on 2nd October on Dashmi Day, and we are doing both skill development as well as the startup ecosystem which we have. You can see our infrastructure. Please visit us, and you can write by email or by WhatsApp. We have the numbers for both separate numbers. So this is a new integrated 360 degrees integrated ecosystem we have created here in the green city at Wadlapudi, where you have everything, you name it. We have a sports complex, we have educational institution up to 10th standard CBSE, we have the physical and wellness center, banking system, as well as the skill and startup ecosystem is there, and the full residential complex is there with a neighborhood concept where you can walk not more than 200 meters to get anything. So thank you very much. And then please be looking at our VPL hub, the V hub, where we'll be starting our courses, especially state of the art courses. Very affordable. We want to do it to reach for the Vizag people. Basically, it is in artificial intelligence. We are going to start one course, 1 month course, cyber security, semiconductors, digital marketing, and data analytics. These are the areas which we are focusing, so that the students and the professionals, these will be useful for them in a job-oriented one. The other one which we would like to mention is, apart from the skill development, we will be giving internship also, because we have tied up almost with the companies. So whichever the area you do the skill training program, we can do the live projects with them, and the certificates can be given, which will be useful for your credentials as well as for other opportunities. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Unnara? If any, any Q&A is there, you can ask. So
Yeah,
people
you
who
can
are
put
here,
the
sorry.
lights. Yeah.
Sir, here it is.
Yeah. No, any Q&A, any questions you can
Questions.
ask. Yeah, because you're all teachers, students, you can ask.
Yeah. Actually, questions are important.
Can I ask a question?
Please go ahead. Yeah, of
We
course.
are new to AI, I mean, most of us, at least I am very new. Now, when you said ChatGPT will give, ask them to create two agents, one is explorer, another one is interrogator or investigator. So how do we do that? We have to ask them to, suppose we want one answer, then simultaneously we have to tell them to get it checked by both sides or something like that.
Yeah. So I can do it right now. You want me to show you?
An example.
Yeah, I can show you, but I need to connect to the.
Okay, you can see.
Yeah.
So, one practical example, if you give, that will be very helpful.
Yeah. Can you connect me to the web, or so that others can see?
Yeah, connected. No, it's there, no, live only.
Very
No?
close.
It's already connected. Sir.
But it is showing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Live close చేసి ఇది internal.
ఇంటర్నల్ ఇక్కడ కనీసం చూపించవచ్చు కదా.
అది.
లేదు అప్పుడు లైవ్
లైవ్ క్లోజ్ చేశారు పర్వాలేదు.
లైవ్ క్లోజ్ చేసి చేసేస్తాం.
లేదు రావట్లేదు.